So we're building doors today. We're probably only going to get this one framed up and hung because the way I'm doing this one's a lot sturdier than the way I did the front doors. And really, if you're going to make big heavy doors like these, I just didn't have enough material at the time, so I kind of used what I had on hand. They're all right, but these doors on the back here will be so much stronger. Now what's going to make these stronger is the frames we're using are 2x6 rough cut. We're doing inlet style bracing and cross framing on these doors, so basically they're just half laps, so everything's set in. Now what that's going to do, the shoulders on all these half lap joints are going to create a bearing surface that's going to resist some racking and things like that. Now all I do when I'm building doors like this, I'll get my two stiles. I'll get my two stiles nice and square to the bottom rail. We're using cabinetry terms because it's the best way I can describe it. I'll get these two nice and square to my bottom rail. You brace across it, and then I get my middle piece in, and we half lap that, set it in, screw it down, and then it should stay nice and square where you want it. The next step, which I'm working on right now, is a diagonal brace, and that's also going to be a half lap or inlet into the stiles of this door. Now what I do with these, I've already got it trimmed down to size, but I'll take and I'll scribe everything. So everything's going to be scribed to this door, and then that takes all the measuring, takes all the science out of it, makes everything just plain easier to do. As long as I put my marks on that side before I just moved that, of course. Thought I did, maybe I didn't. Of course you didn't, you bonehead. So if you guys watched the planer stand build, we kind of did this the same way with the planer stand. Just scribed it in. It just gives you a much more accurate fit. So what I'll do once I get this cut in, we get it screwed down, locked into place, then we can take the stile that's against the door jamb. We can cut that to the size we need, get the top rail across it, and then we can do another, we'll do the corner piece, seeing as how this is how we have a brace. We're trying to do, we're not doing flush mount doors. They're inset into the door frames, kind of a little bit more protection against the weather, because if I did them as a flush mount or on the outside of the building, I just have water run down behind them, and I really don't want that. So we want these to sit inside a frame so that when we put our siding boards on, I can hold them out just a little bit, cut those at a 45-degree angle, and then water will kind of miss that opening where the door meets the door frame and kind of run down the front of the door instead of behind the door. So anyway, hope I explained that well enough. We're going to get cutting this, and stay tuned. I'll catch you on the other side of it. Hey, let's see if we can bust our ass a little bit here. So this should be much lighter than the front doors were when I put those on. You guys remembered, I was still using a cane when I did those. That was probably wasn't the smartest thing in the world to be doing, but we got them up and it worked. We're going to do these a little differently. I'm half building these in place. Figure get the frame made and then stand the frame up, and then I can put the boards on it just like I'm doing sheathing. So basically what we have is everything's inlaid. It's all it's all half laps. Everything's laid in, screwed down, all that good stuff. I better get this stuff out of the way. So basically all we're going to do is we're going to walk this thing out and see if it fits. It would really suck to do all this and have it not fit. This floor is starting to resemble what it did when we were building when we were doing all the timber work. All right, let's see what we get. See what we get. Really looking forward to getting this sawmill out of this building. Kind of drives me nuts having it in here all the time. It's a pain in the ass to work around. Oh shoot, this is nothing. Nothing compared to the other one. This rubble pile's handy for something. Should be good for another broken leg, right? Oh, just barely. Barely missing here. Try some different shim stock here. I want these doors dragging directly on the floor. Too bad there, not perfect, but not bad. Not liking right there, but we can live with this. I do believe we can. It's really not too shabby. A little bit more of a gap down here than I wanted, but not too bad. I think we're going to run with it. I think what, good 6-8 months we can leave it like this? That'd be perfect. And angles off just a little bit right there. Not enough to hurt anything, but I can and will live with it. All right, folks, another piece of the puzzle in place. We'll frame out one more of these doors. I'm going to do a little trimming on this one, so probably tomorrow night I'll take this down. I want to trim that top down a little bit. I didn't actually, I should have used my, my bevel gauge to make that frame. It would have been a little more accurate. It's well within the trim itself, where the trim's going to go. But for one, I don't want the door frame actually resting on the concrete because it'll rot it out pretty quick. I want enough room to put a little weather stripping on there, just to keep the water from running under the door. Granted, now this slab here does pitch out just a little bit around the outsides, but with a good torrential rain, it's not enough to carry it all out. So we want to kind of negate that as much as we can with some weather stripping, things like that. So what I'll do is I'll trim it. It's off enough to where I have to trim it, but it's not, I measured everything. If I'd, like I said, if I'd used the bevel gauge, it probably would have turned out perfect. But all in all, it's really not bad for the first fit without putting anything up there, so I can live with it. But that's a good way of making a really strong door. When you take and you half lap everything, you inlay it in, you actually have a bunch of shoulders here and housings that actually help keep that door from racking. When you just screw them together like that, over time those screws, the wood's gonna get weak around those screws and they will start shifting on you. But if you have something just to lock it in place other than the screws you're using, it just makes a much stronger door. If this was like a door for my house or something like that, for one, it wouldn't be this big, but that would usually be all mortise and tenon joinery, stuff like that. Most of your doors, at least your nice doors, that's how they're made. So anyway, we're getting really close to being ready for the winter here. I'm still planning on doing the electrical here within the next few weeks. And hopefully this winter we should be in pretty good shape to where we can actually enjoy this building a little bit more rather than fighting the snow, fighting the wind and things like that. It gets a little closer every year. As you guys know who've been watching this channel for the last couple of years, fall is when I get more done than any other time of the year. And that's just because the farm stuff's pretty well caught up. Work's not quite as busy. You know, it's a really good time of year for me to get a lot of stuff done. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll see you on the next one.